Hi, I'm Corentin. Welcome to Valencia, where we are connecting citizens with the energy transition.
Corentin, welcome to End It on the Road. It's really great to speak to you today. The energy sector and governments regarded citizens as passive consumers actually for a very long time. But that seems to change. Why is it important for a city like Valencia to raise awareness among citizens about the energy transition and to get them involved?
In Valencia, we are aiming at being climate neutral by 2030. So it means that we want to reduce our carbon emission by 80% in scope 1 and 2. And if we look at the city council itself, we are only responsible directly for 6% of the emission. So clearly, if you want to make it happen, we need to involve all the citizens, all the people, private sector as well, to be able to reach our carbon reduction.
How does Klima y Energia or the Climate and Energy Office facilitate this?
We are a public body. We depend directly from the city council. And we are in charge of translating this big carbon reduction target to the people. How do we do that? In Valencia, we are trying really to make it happen for the people on the ground and to answer a very simple question. For instance, how can I save on my energy bill? What can I do if I can't pay my bill at the end of the month? Which are like really burning issue for the people. We start with this, and then afterwards, we can talk about the energy transition, carbon reduction.
So it's a mixture of education on the one hand and assisting them with tangible tools to actually do something themselves.
Completely. What we are trying to do is not to say and tell people what they have to do, but to give them tools to empower them to make things happen. We explain what are solar panels, for instance, how much they can put on their rooftop. We have a nice solar map now in Valencia, so in 2 clicks you can know how much solar panel you can put, and you can know the return of your investment.
Klima y Energia Foundation is a government initiative. Why is the government an important player in this process of energy transition and getting the citizens on board?
At some point, people took the decision to make a library, a fire station, or social services because it was not profitable, so it was public. Now we are in a place in the transition where if we want the transition to happen at the local level, we need to have people on the ground. We consider that to improve the transition at the city level, we need to fill a gap, which is the services of training and education that are not profitable, for instance, for the private sector. We train, we inform people so that they get more mature in the future as a consumer for the private sector as well. If they come here, they are informed about solar panel, about refurbishment, and then they can go and start their transition journey because they know already what they want and what they need. And that's basically our way we collaborate with architects, with construction workers, with all the different actors of the private sector. Their final customer are our users.
It seems to almost be like a one-stop shop that you're offering. How do you measure the success of this? Can you give an example of a successful project?
We are targeting people. We measure success in terms of how many people we are advising each year. And last year we reached more than 10,000 people. And then in terms of secondary impact, we measure as well energy saving, economic savings, which are big numbers. And we usually say that someone passing by the office to check their energy bill will save 200 euros per year. And if it's a vulnerable household, as you have social tariffs, it could be up to 400 euros per year, which is not negligible in the Spanish context. Then in terms of other impacts, we are very proud of our first energy community that we have now running for 2 years, where we bring together 59 people, households, that are investing in their solar panel on a public building and then sharing the energy. So we have a solar plant there of 49 kilowatt peak installed, and there they are sharing their energy. And for us, what is the even more important is that 3 of these households are vulnerable households. So we can close the loop to have a very interesting and powerful transition project, but inclusive as well. We don't leave no one behind.
That is a great success story. What are the challenges to get the buy-in from citizens?
In Spain, in our local context, when we started with the office, mistrust was the biggest challenge, and kind of fake news that were still going on in the energy and local sector in Spain were the biggest challenge we have. And even after 5 years, we still have some new users that come and think that we have some special taxes on solar panel, that if you put solar panel, you will have leakage in your roof. So all this misinformation is not helping, but we are working hard to make people understand that it's feasible, that it's bankable, that it's profitable for them to make this kind of projects.
Can this concept be replicated across Spain or even across Europe?
When we are talking about one-stop shop, it's not something we created from scratch in Valencia. Our one-stop shop is very innovative in terms it integrates social issue with energy poverty, with renewable, with rehabilitation and education. But now in Europe and in Spain, you have a lot of initiative of one-stop shop for rehabilitation mainly. And the last directive on EPBD is now promoting one-stop shop per 80,000 inhabitants. So you have a lot of nice networks of one-stop shops that is emerging. In Spain, we're working with Barcelona, with people from Madrid or the Basque Country. And slowly in Europe, I know that Ireland or France are already moving forward with very powerful one-stop shops that are going farther than only training and informing people to really support them and then offer services to fully support the rehabilitation of houses. So that's, I think, a clear trend at the European level that we need these one-stop shops to make transition happen. We need people talking to other people to be sure that this will happen.
Valencia experienced extreme flooding at the end of last year. How has this event changed the perception of the people living in Valencia on energy transition or climate change?
This last autumn flood was a tragedy in our local context, and there is clearly a before and after in training and talking about climate change, because before basically people were saying, it's something that could happen to the others in further places, but now it's something that happens in your street with your family or friends. So for us, it has some, let's say, benefit in terms of convincing people that this could happen and repeat in the future. And basically what we hope in terms of being positive with such a tragic event is to have a green reconstruction, to see the reconstruction as an opportunity to do the things better and not on the same way as before. And as well, we have to, in our case, when talk about the energy transition, we have to keep pushing for the energy transition, because now the focus is more on reconstruction and as well on needed adaptation to these dramatic events. But we still have to remember that the best way to adapt is to mitigate first, to release the pressure on the climate, to be sure that we reduce emission before going to adaptation and reconstruction. And there is a risk for us that we'll talk much more, and it's needed to talk about adaptation and reconstruction, where we have to keep the agenda high with the mitigation part of the transition.
Thank you for your insights, Corentin.
Welcome.
For more insights, join the Enlit community.